Yep. Welcome everybody to the Phenomenally Me Women's Society Incorporated podcast. I am your co-host LP. We got our CEO in the building, Miss Shaletta Germain. You know, this is going to be an intro to the work that we're going to be putting out, the content that we're going to be putting out, and we're going to give you a short synopsis to understand what our goals are and what our intent is. So, for any listener, anybody that's going to be viewing the podcast, because we're going to be available via Anchor and we're going to be putting out content on our YouTube channel and we're going to be putting our content on our social media platforms like the ones that you see on the screen. They will be available to watch on Spotify as well. We're going to be streaming on every platform because that's what we do.
That's right. Facts.
Shaletta,
Well,
it's such a great time to be a podcaster. And I'm so glad that we've networked together. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Miss CEO, Miss Creator of this beautiful organization, because I want you to tell the audience, what do they have to look forward to? How did we get started? How did this whole idea of Phenomenally Me Women's Society come about? And then we'll go into some of the other things that we're going to be talking about. The mic is yours.
well, thank you, God, brother. Grand Rising. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and the outstanding introduction. And thank you all so much, Grand Rising Phenomenons. We have a great venture that we have stumbled upon, God, brother LP and I. And first and foremost, Phenomenally Me Women's Society was in grassroots over 10 years ago. It was something that was local to the women here in the Tampa Bay area. We had people coming, women gathering once a month, either in-house or outdoor activities for about 2 or 3 hours a day on a Saturday once a month. And it was fantastic. We would have sometimes an opening prayer. We would have an icebreaker. We would get to know women on an organic level, things that we weren't able to do at the church or the club, sometimes not with mama, grandma, because they're biased. So where do we as women, as leaders, as wives, as entrepreneurs, as worker bees, stay-at-home moms, where do we go when we need to be unpacked and we need healing? So that was the concept very over a decade ago. And I was hurt. I was hurt by my then business partner. I felt betrayed. And I didn't know anything about business at that time and what non-disclosures were and why things needed to be in a certain order. And so because of that hurt, I carried that hurt for 10 years and decided to finally release it back into the atmosphere on April 1st, 2021. We launched Phenomenally Me. And even then I was afraid. It was initially just a gathering space where women could get together. And I eventually wanted to set it up for men so they can have their own society, and children because they need their own society. We don't want to leave you all out either. But this came as a result of kind of just sitting on my gifts, working for everybody else, seeing everybody else flourish, and then being invited on an app called Clubhouse, an audio app, which some people are familiar with. That's how I met you and so many fantastic, amazing people, your wife, Chrissy, and was able to find my voice again and find that I actually had a reason to open up my mouth, and not only just open up my mouth and speak my truth, stand in my power, but also allow other people to have that same platform and really tapping into my God-given abilities to be able to see inside of people see where their heartbeat is, see the phenomenon in them, because we hear over and over again the gloom and the doom. You'll never be this, you'll never do that, you can't accomplish. Look at all of this crap that's going on. And so sometimes we forget that there's a light that's inside of us that is meant to be shared with the world. So having that type of, I guess, anointing or gifts, if you will, and the courage to speak up and speak out, and show other people that it's possible to be everything that you want to be. That's why I launched Phenomenally Me. I did it afraid. I'm still doing it afraid.
You know, when I think about podcasting, first and foremost, because I'm a podcaster, you're a podcaster, you inspired me to create my own podcast. So I humbly thank you for giving me that energy to go out and just do the damn thing. When we talk about Phenomenally Me Women's Society, one of the things that I always think about is I think about my upbringing coming from a family where probably 80% of the family or higher was primarily women. So I've always grown up and had a healthy respect for women and women's issues. It made me be the guy that I am in terms of my interactions with women. You know, I never wanted to be that guy who was a woman beater or I'm all in your face because I'm the man and all this stuff. I got to throw my weight around. I got to throw my genitalia around and all that stuff. I got to be gruff and all that with you because you're the quote unquote weaker sex. All of these things, and you've heard me say this before. I never wanted to be the knuckle dragging caveman Neanderthal dinosaur man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I was so humbled and proud when you asked me to be part of Phenomenally Me Women's Society. And a lot of times people might be like, well, how does that work? You got a guy in a women's society organization. And it's like, you know how it works? Because it's not just about women, it's about humanity. It's about everybody has different skill sets or whatever. So
Absolutely.
you could have named it Umfufu Incorporated, and it still has the same premise. It doesn't change the narrative of the goals of what we want to accomplish. So, how did you come up with the name Phenomenally Me Women's Society?
Mhm. Well, the name was actually given to me several years ago at the inception of the thought when I had first moved down to Florida. I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. I lived in the Detroit area for probably about 5 years or so before I came um, to Florida. My grandmother had gotten diagnosed with colon cancer. I was kind of just passing through. So on my way to Atlanta, and my biological mother died. She passed away 2 months before I turned 2. My father remarried at 5. All of my mother's family was here in Florida, and my brothers and I were raised up in Michigan. So I kind of wanted to just see what the buzz was about for Florida, and she ended up passing away. I stayed, and I found like I didn't fit in. Like, nobody wanted to give me a job because I still had my 248 area code. It was like I was an outsider. And I thought to myself, if I'm going through this, and I ran into the young lady at the time that was my business partner, and she was actually going through this because she was from Jersey. And I said, if we're going through this, we're trying to figure out, at that time, they didn't have all of the tools and apps that they have now for you to find, Facebook events and outings. You just kind of had to wing it, 14, 15 years ago. So we formulated an outline of what that would look like, just amazing women. I just saw women coming together and laughing and relaxing and going back to sort of that childlike state where we weren't being catty or jealous. We didn't have to worry about our phones. We were just in the presence of other powerful beings that helped us be strengthened and set up chapters in different cities. So that was the goal. That was the name that God had given me, even during that time, and it was just for fun. Let's get together for 2 or 3 hours out of the day. Let's have an icebreaker. Let's have a topic. Let's have an exercise. Let's have a kumbaya. Let's have some food. Let's go home, do it again next month. And then there were all of these other ideas that, I saw that I needed to be more intentional. There's so much disparity, as you are very well aware, with generational wealth and our ability to even understand, overstand, understand how to make money, how to leverage. I started getting on the Clubhouse app. I ran into so many people who didn't know how business credit works or what to do to start a business or where to start, or even if they could. So finding my niche for me is motivating people, talking, inspiring, and educating, and showing love no matter what it looks like, right? This is okay. I'm tiptoeing through the tulips, but I didn't talk to y'all about my experience with domestic violence or cancer or childhood abuse or financial abuse in marriage, right? I didn't talk to y'all about that. I'm just talking to you about the good stuff because I know what it took to get there. And if you can be inspired just once from something that I say, sorry for the glitch, that was from something that I say, maybe you can live a little longer. Maybe you won't take those pills. Maybe you won't pull the trigger. Maybe you won't give up, because that's not cool. That we can't be present for other people and allow them to feel so that they can heal, so that they can grow. So I feel like I was born to be a philanthropist, LP. I feel like my mission and my passion in life and my honor is to bring people from where they are and be that bridge to that place in destiny. And I feel like I have a mandate on my life, a calling. I won't stop until I take my last breath. And I've said everything that I was designed, that I was commissioned to say, and that is to help other people to know that there is a phenomenon waiting inside of you. Yes, you, in spite of all of the crap that's, the hand that you've been dealt. So yeah, we love hard on this show. God, brother, you were in a transition with your life and your story was so excited, and the people and the connections that you have, and not knowing who or what the app Clubhouse was about and how to navigate in those clubhouse streets, as they say. And then I go from that and I take a break for a while, and you just taking things to the top, and you just spun it to a whole nother level. So naturally, there's a synchronicity because we come from, the Midwest, because we come from, the trenches, as they say. You know what I mean? We've had that career path in healthcare. We've had that time where we've done so many things outside of ourselves. And the alpha male, you're not a very in your face kind of person, but you know what? That's what we need. We need that organic trust, that I can work with a guy and not be sleeping with him and not be interested in sleeping with him and not get caught up in the titles, right? I put my title there because people care, but I don't care about titles. I never have. And anybody that knows me from back in the day, I've just never been that person that cares about titles. But we have an assignment. We all have a date of birth, what we know as a date of birth, right? And we all know that we have what they consider a date of death. But there's a line in between that, God brother. That's your dash. And I'm not trying. It is my honor, my duty, and my goal to make that dash as bright as it can be for as long as it can be, because tomorrow is not promised, not to me, not to you. Cancer taught me that. So that's what the colors signify.
Mhm.
The, breast cancer
Yes.
and the ovarian cancer. And you'll
Mhm.
hear me talk about 17 ribbons, because it's 17 ribbons that I'm concerned about, not just the breast cancer awareness pink ribbon. I'm concerned about the purple and the blue ribbon too, and all the other emias and answer, but ribbons that they have. So being very intentional about inspiration, motivation, and let's move from this sector where we have to continue to hold our hands out. Now let's leverage our tools. So I'm leveraging my insurance license. I'm leveraging my notary license. I'm leveraging my podcasts and my computers and the things that I have in my hands every single day to be a voice to the nations.
Let me ask you, what was your main thought when you created the mission statement? And what is the mission statement for Phenomenally Me Women's Society?
So the mission statement, and I have to pull it up,
Sure.
is the reason that I was given this statement is because, like I said, I just have a passion for people. I have a passion for people. I love very hard. I'm an advocate for children. I'm in the process now of becoming a guardian ad litem.
Mhm.
But the answer to your question, Phenomenally Me Women's Society is a minority woman owned business whose main purpose is to bring financial literacy and awareness to the Black and Brown community, a discovery of the arts, and be a financial resource to those patients with active cancer and their immediate family. So there's a lot in that mission statement, as you heard. So obviously, it's not something that's going to be done overnight. But at the same time, we want to be very intentional about how to leverage these resources. You know that in the inner cities, they don't have a urban community center to go and play. You know what I mean? So they're not picking up basketballs and footballs and baseballs, and they're picking up guns and knives.
That's right.
So if we can tap into the creative side of, the producers, the singers, the artists, the technical people, the engineers, the architects, and we can raise monies into the society by podcast monetization, speaking engagements, contracts, then there'll be monies to be able to be set aside for when people are going through things like, I don't know, cancer, and having to figure out if they should pay for their chemotherapy or pay their mortgage or their rent, and or they're going to their chemotherapy appointment and they come out and their car is repossessed. I don't feel like that's a fair choice. So cancer taught me to have a different spin on life and help some people that may not be in the best position where they can't necessarily help themselves.
You are so multifaceted. And I'm sitting here, and for those that are going to be watching, I have on the screen, I have the IG page, and I have the link tree for the Phenomenally Me Women's Society Incorporated. When I'm looking at the content that you have on there, what type of content specifically do you want us to give to the viewers and or the listeners?
So some of the content that is on my page as of current, full disclosure, I was in Hurricane Ian, right in the eye of the storm.
Yes.
Just before that, my iPhone took a tank in some fruit punch. I had just gotten the screen fixed. I've lost contact with all of my IG accounts and stuff right now. But the content is basically you're going to hear something positive. You're going to hear something raw and real, or you're going to hear something positive. You're not going to hear a lie. You're not going to hear fake and phony. You're going to hear raw and real and encouragement and edification. Not going to be no twerking. I can't dance. I don't think I would anyways. I didn't get that ability all knees or whatever. I just don't have it. You know what I mean? So, and some poetry, spoken word. Um, and then, of course, there's a book that I'm working on that I found out that I had breast cancer on my lunch break. But mostly just the encouragement for you and other people. That's my heartbeat. I love talking about things that will make you better, giving you a tip or a tool or a trick that can help you with your next ventures in life.
We have done a great interview with Arthur Rosalind Camper, and it's on the screen. My pain was pressure. I like how the synergy and the symbiotic relationship of what you spoke about earlier when it comes to having a guy be part of this platform, because I have one of my favorite memes that I came across, and I'm paraphrasing as best as I can, but I think I got it right. It said, "I'd rather make money with her than to say I hit that."
Yes, actually, that's crazy that you mentioned that, God brother, because my homeboy, G Money, the one that put me on Clubhouse, he says the same thing. He posts the same thing. Like, it doesn't have to be about, you know, um, all of the stuff that we make it seem about. People can actually work together and work well together. And like you said, the synergy that you and I had, now here's me getting excited, the synergy that you and I had from day one, where you always have been respectful. You value your wife. You talk about her even when she's not around. A lot of men don't often do that, but she's with you even when she's not with you, and
Where
you
are you going?
subtly say, y'all gonna respect my gangster, like, you know what I mean? And I respect the fact that whenever we've talked, it's never been, oh yeah, nice dress today, you know what I mean, how we do little slick shit. I don't like that. I like to be what it is. What you see from me is what you get, and those are facts. I don't know how to be no other way than who I am, you know what I mean? So having that that type of love from, like my brother from another mother, that's just amazing. And I look forward to a very long partnership with you. I believe
Absolutely.
that the podcast will do very well. The spinoffs, the cross podcasting that we'll do, the things that we've talked about that nobody can hear about right now if you're not a part of the Soul Tribe. But there is some money to be had. There's some money to be made, and I want to make it with you. And I want things to pop off in Charlotte, just like I want things to pop off here in Tampa Bay. Man, let's
Wow.
go.
Let's go. I want to say that because we're going to wrap up this intro, I want to say to all the listeners that we're going to blow you all away. This is going to be some unprecedented, uncharted waters, uncharted territories on the things that we're going to cover, because we're going to go from A to Z. And when we get to Z, we're going to start over at double A to double Z when we're talking about stuff.
Facts.
If you want basic, boring, carbon copy stuff, there are a million podcasts out there. You're not going to get that same old, the fluff, as I call it. You're not going to get those conversations here. It's going to be rough, rugged, and raw, just like what men are taught as little boys. We all learn the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic, but we also learn how to be rough, rugged, and raw. And that plays a huge part into the mental health crisis. And so I want to be that voice for those men in this phenomenally me women's society to say, hey, don't let the name fool you. You are just as welcome. Gender be damned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And might I add, you are our first responder. You are our first responder. The man is our first responder. So it's very strategic. I'm not playing no games. I told y'all I'm coming to take my spot, and I want you to have your spot. And your spot is enough room for you, just like it's enough room for me. We got to stop acting like I got to claw away at you so that you can't get to where you need to be. You know what I mean? We know we know what the order is. We know that the seed can't give life without the incubator.
That's right.
And the incubator needs a seed for life. So stop. Come on, man. This is the order. This is the order. So, I know that's going to probably go over people's heads, but it's okay. It'll
No,
catch
no.
up with y'all one day.
That's why people need to tune in, when we do these podcasts, because, and this is just the intro. So what I want people to understand is go to the Instagram page. It's PMWSINC. PMWSINC. Phenomenally Me Women's Society Incorporated. That's the Instagram handle. If you want to check out the link tree, you go to Linktree / same initials, PMWSINC. We'll have those links and we'll post that information in the show notes for this particular episode. Again, this is just an intro. This is just a beginning. We're just giving you the tip of the iceberg. And you've heard me say this before. We don't just do iceberg conversations. We're going to take that iceberg and the 90% of it that you don't see that's under the water, we're going to flip it upside down and we're going to put all of that in your face, and it's going to be safe, and it's going to have humor, and it's going to be tugging at your heart. It may be triggering, but that's okay. Because again, it's all about safety and humanity. And that's what we got to get back to. The other thing I wanted to say is for those that want more information, you can email us if you want to be on the podcast. And for those that are watching this particular episode, there's a streaming ticker at the bottom. To be a guest, just email us info@pmwsinc.com. Again, if you want to be a guest, if you want any information, questions, comments, concerns, issues, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, send us
Yes.
an email info@pmwsinc.com.
And that's the acronym for Phenomenally Me Women's Society Inc.com. We've got a great lineup that's coming, God brother. I know we're going to be talking to Vanessa, the realtor, right over there in your neck of the woods. So we're going to be positioning some people for that. We've got an entrepreneur, 22 years old, started his own health insurance agency. So we're going to be talking about that. We got a young man that was married to his wife for 30 years, man. She suddenly died as soon as she stopped drinking. So we're going to talk about that, and it could be about generational wealth. As God brother says, it could be about something that's going to cause some triggering, but we are all about healing and abundance, rawness, realness. We understand that, life is not always tiptoeing through the tulips, but we in this thing called life together. And when you know that you're not in it by yourself, you have a better chance of having a success rate that's higher than it was before you knew you had us. So let's go.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this intro episode of the Phenomenally Me Women's Society Incorporated podcast. We will be coming up with a weekly schedule on what dates we will be putting out the podcast. But just stay tuned. Check out our IG page. Check out the Linktree link that we're going to post at the end or in the show notes. For Shaletta Jermaine, I'm your Firemetric CEO, Brother LP. Until next time, live in awareness, never live in fear. Let's get back to our humanity. LP out.
Peace, y'all.